Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Shaun here for the Natural Gamers, and today I want to talk about the remake, reboot, something or other, whatever the fuck you want to call it, game Syndicate. Made by Starbreeze Studios, the studio behind games like The Darkness. The original Darkness, not the new one. They actually handed that off to somebody else, which was actually what made Darkness 2 so surprising, that they kept all those core elements. But, moving on. It is a game that came out in the early 90s. I actually have the Sega Genesis version myself. The original was more like an RTS. Like, you have like 4 of these people, they all have specific powers, you use them to... It was kind of like, if you've ever played the old PC game Commandos, it was kind of like a low-rent Commandos. And, but the new game is a first-person shooter style. And with light RPG elements. It's actually, what it reminded me of the most was probably, it's like the poor man's Deus Ex. More linear Deus Ex. Human Revolution, the recently released one. It's actually, the game is fun. It is a little too corridor driven for my taste. It just falls in that same pattern that a lot of first person shooters kind of fall into, which is the enemy wave stuff. Like, I don't know really what else to say about that, but what's cool about it is that you have like these unique kind of hacking abilities and stuff like that. It takes place in the not too distant future, 2058, and basically what happened is the world is controlled by corporations instead of kind of countries and things like that. Everything is controlled by corporate entities, and everybody's got like basically some kind of augmentation to, just like Deus Ex. So everybody has some kind of chip, and that allows them to do certain things, but basically corporations have kind of created their own military, their own company men, if you will, that have chips that have extended powers, that give them the ability to kind of like hack and do other things that affect computers and technology and other people, and other soldiers you come across in the levels. I mean, like, that's what makes this game fun, for me. I'm speaking of the single player. The single player is fun just because there are a multitude of ways you can kind of dole out justice and move through the levels, and the boss fights are actually pretty unique in themselves. But I can't say that it was like a great game. It's kind of reminded me of The Darkness 2, where I felt like I was playing a game from like 5 or 6 years ago, because of the linearity. Like, it's so linear that especially this game might have even been more linear than The Darkness 2. Like, you can't deviate at all from the path that is set for you, which would be okay, because like The Darkness 2 had a decent story that kind of kept you into it. This story isn't that great, and it's not that the actual story content is boring, it's the way it's told. It feels like it's in the background. It feels like it doesn't really matter. Nothing like super dramatic ever happens, or at least that they like kind of paced correctly to make you feel like empathy or anything like that for these characters. When I first heard about this game, I thought it was going to be a little bit more open. Like, you could kind of work for whatever corporation you wanted to and kind of pick and choose what missions and what you wanted to do, and that would affect the story and the gameplay. Not so much. It is very on rails, kind of linear experience. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a very tight game. A tight first-person shooter, and the kind of like abilities that you have through your chip and stuff like that are what make it like stand out a little bit from other games. But like I said, I think this game suffers from the Deus Ex Human Revolution comparison, because it is the poor man's Deus Ex Human Revolution. It has a lot of the same ideas. Even the story is somewhat similar, and just, I don't know, like, it didn't click with me. I enjoyed it. I'm not sure if it was like what the point was of like kind of turning Syndicate into an FPS. I'm not sure like why that was necessary, because it doesn't play or feel like Syndicate. It doesn't, like, you know, it has nothing in common outside of the basic concept of corporations kind of fighting each other for dominance in the world. That's really the only kind of connective tissue that this game has, because they've never been explicit. They're like, there is some, I guess maybe like this is a pseudo-sequel type thing. It doesn't, or a prequel, like, you don't really know. I think it's just a reboot, and they're trying to do it with a first-person shooter. I can't really go out and recommend this game for the single player, but what I can recommend it for is the multiplayer. The multiplayer is surprisingly effective. It really kind of, it's a 4-player co-op thing, and you play as these agents, and everybody has kind of different abilities. Like, you got the healer, you have the, heavy weapons person and stuff like that, and if you can get into a good team of 4 people, it is a blast to play. Crank up the difficulty and just have a blast. It really is. That's what I would buy this game for if I were to recommend to buy it. Don't buy it for the single player. The single player thing is like, if it was knocked down to $20, then go buy it. Until then, don't bother. It's really not. I don't know. It's so linear and basically almost like borderline boring that the whole game I was just playing through it just because I bought it, just to play through it. I was kind of excited about it because I am a big fan of the original Syndicate, but this just didn't live up to expectations. I don't know if it was rushed or what the deal was, but it seems like a lot of things were just kind of left on the desk, as it were, not put into this bag, this gaming bag. I don't know. I'm trying to think about it suffers so much from that Deus Ex comparison because it tries to do a lot of the similar things. It even plays kind of a lot like Deus Ex. It has elements of shitty platforming, which is why also it reminded me of a game that came out 5 or 6 years ago. But I don't know. No, I can't really recommend this one. I'm gonna have to say, unless you really just enjoy those kind of games, you want a linear Deus Ex, I would say go buy Deus Ex over this. Yeah, that's my final thought on that. So I'm Sean, and I'm a natural gamer, and I will talk to you next time I have something to talk about.